Today on Week in Review, the federal government is prioritizing a pair of northwestern BC projects. MP Ellis Ross has his own thoughts on that announcement, and the Homelessness Services Association of BC will host a training event in Terrace. Hello, I'm Cael Maslin, and thanks for joining us here on Week in Review, where we cover all of the news here in the Northwest from this past week. Two major Northwest BC projects were on the list of 5 projects to be prioritized by the federal government, but some are pointing out a lack of consensus. CTV's Rob Buffum explains.
Doubling production at the LNG Canada plant in Kitimat is one of the 5 major projects unveiled by Ottawa Thursday, getting fast-tracked approvals and potentially federal funding.
To get nation-building projects built faster.
Another BC project on the list, expansion of the Red Chris Critical Minerals Project in Northwest BC.
British Columbia is going to be the engine of the new Canadian economy that we're building that's more independent, that is delivering to global markets.
The batch includes modular reactors at Ontario's existing Darlington nuclear generating station, expansion by the Port of Montreal, and a critical mineral mine in Saskatchewan. Not making the grade, yet at least an oil pipeline through BC, something Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has campaigned for. Thursday, she sounded an optimistic tone.
I thought finally they get it, because it's all the projects that have been difficult to build.
Smith, heartened that a Pathways Plus carbon capture project seen as a prerequisite for a new pipeline is on a secondary list, buoying her hopes that a pipeline could be coming too.
Just encourage Albertans to not lose faith in the process. Let's work together on it.
But not everyone's happy. Doubling production of LNG in Kitimat comes with inadequate Indigenous consultation, says the head of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs.
There was absolutely no effort at any substantive consultation with the First Nations people before these projects were contemplated, planned, and initiated.
Another set of major projects will get the thumbs up by Ottawa in time for Grey Cup in November. BC hopes to add hydroelectric transmission lines to Yukon and Alberta in that round.
MP Ellis Ross wasn't surprised or overly impressed with Prime Minister Carney's announcement, and he says that he believes all 3 major LNG projects in the works in the region are bound to go ahead.
Number one, because LNG Canada has been in the works now. Final investment decisions have been there for years. But number two, both levels of government, federal and provincial, have been talking about reconciliation with First Nations for so many years, but they haven't delivered anything. And so here you got Haisla trying to deliver their own LNG project, and Niska trying to deliver their own project. And that's all wrapped up within this whole idea of reconciliation and being self-sustaining and being independent, getting away from the Indian Act, fortifying the treaty, for example. There's just been so much political talk over the years. I don't see how any level of government turns around and tells these 2 First Nations, no, you can't build. I can't see that happening.
Homelessness has become impossible to ignore, and we turn to the streets of Terrace, where homelessness continues to spark frustration and cries for help. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante shares more.
For 3 years, Jermaine McDonough has been surviving on the street and living by the river in Terrace. He says there has been no meaningful support from the city, but gets pushed from one corner to another by bylaw officers and never given the chance to stand.
Bylaw is always chasing me around, and always being pushed away everywhere you go. It's pretty tough feeling, especially with more people coming in and more homeless there is.
Jermaine's plea comes with a direct message for the mayor and city leaders: stop pushing people like him into the shadows and start creating real solutions. Even while fighting addiction, Jermaine says he hasn't lost hope. His deepest wish, finding a path to recovery and reuniting with his children.
Obviously, I got kids, right?
Right.
43 years old, not getting younger. It's kind of embarrassing being homeless who I am. You know? I used to be different. I always loved having a house back, you know? Kids, normal life. So you gotta push away or do what I guess. There's nothing else to do but try to make it every day.
As homelessness grows more visible in Terrace, voices like Jermaine's are raising tough questions. Is the city doing enough, or simply pushing the problem out of sight? Helen Asante, CFTK-TV News, Terrace.
The Homelessness Services Association of BC is hosting a training event here in Terrace. The event, which will take place at the Terrace Sportsplex Banquet Room on the 25th of September, is focused on strengthening services for people experiencing homelessness. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante again has more.
It's more than a workshop. It's sort of about building capacity, some connection, and some shared understanding. So not only are we hoping people get the training that they've been asking for and that they need, it's not just a couple of trainings and an amazing buffet, and it's really trying to connect and center those voices that aren't often heard when policy is being made or procedures are being planned. So that's a part of the event that I personally am really looking forward to.
With registration still open, organizers highlight the importance of this event with hopes more people will step in and take part.
To have in-person training, I feel like you learn more, you're more open, the opportunity to network, to be heard and to hear others, like that you're not alone. Online training all the time is good, but it's not always the best, especially in some of the situations that we are dealing with. So to have her here in person is absolutely beautiful.
Organizers say the training goes beyond day-to-day shelter operations. It's about finding support for frontline staff.
Is small. For a while there, Jamie was a team of one. She now has two staff, but when you're dealing with the homeless or the people at risk, you have three people who are trying to support and help the community at large, and there's days where she comes in and she's like, we lost another person, and we talk about having rational detachment, like don't get attached to people, don't get attached to people. How do you not get attached to people? We're human. Jamie and her team have huge hearts. People who work with people who need help have huge hearts. How do you not get attached? How do you not feel the loss? So one of the needs that Jamie has identified is grief and loss, support for support staff, not only for the individuals out on the streets or out in the community, but we also need it for our service sector.
Helen Asante, CFTK-TV News, Terrace.
Up next, a vocal contingent of residents is opposed to the Kin Hut being demolished. Welcome back. And now we look at the city of Terrace giving local residents a stage to voice their thoughts on a planned demolition. Prior to the latest Terrace City Council meeting, a public hearing was held to get the opinions of local residents on the plan to demolish the Kin Hut building near the Heritage Park Museum. The demolition plan was confirmed several months ago, and Terrace Mayor Sean Buitosh provided a reminder as to why the city is going through with this process.
Well, the Kin Hut has been abandoned for years and years and years, and it's just in disarray, and it's the foundation is collapsing. And when we had it inspected and looked at, it was deemed a hazard and a danger to the public, and we just don't have the finances to bring this building back up to speed. So it was deemed to demolish the building and make sure that it's not a liability to the community.
But at the hearing, more than a few people voiced their opposition to the plan, with one of the consistently cited reasons for residents wanting the building to be saved being the history behind it.
When the war broke out, the Canadian military was really afraid of an invasion from the northwest coast, from Prince Rupert. So they brought in 3,000 soldiers and another 3,000 construction workers to this town, which was around 400 people. and they built a lot of infrastructure because they had 6,000 new residents from a town that was at 400 population. The kin hut was the mess hall of the hospital complex. It's not only the last remaining building of the military hospital complex, but it's also the only remaining mess hall from World War II that's still left in Terrace.
Although this contingent didn't pop up out of nowhere, as one resident even posted an open letter protesting the demolition a couple of months ago.
I asked why the city was determined to demolish one of very few buildings left over from the war. It's a heritage building as far as I'm concerned, and I think it's a shame to have it torn down.
The president of the Skeena Valley Men's Shed Society also came forward at the meeting to offer a tangible solution that could save the building.
We're going to save you $110,000. You won't have to tear down that building. Okay? Underneath that skin is a really beautiful building, and it deserves to be saved. So this is what happens when it gets saved. The Men's Shed has a meeting space. The Men's Shed has a workshop. A building, a historical building, is restored to its former glory. And it's our history. It may not be the history that you want, but it's our history.
The Skeena Men's Shed would be responsible for maintaining the building, and they've suggested the likes of the Parks Canada National Cost Sharing Program and Heritage Places and Canada Heritage Grants and Tax Incentives as just a couple of the government programs that could be applied to in order to try and get the funds for maintaining the building. But whether or not the demolition plan's opposition can actually save the building remains to be seen. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. A terrace home has been cleared and condemned following community concern and criminality. Terrace's RCMP, bylaw officers, firefighters, and building inspector recently teamed up to clear several residents from a property located on the 3200 block of Monroe Street. The property had been considered a serious nuisance by other nearby properties due to concerns about safety, noise, and criminality. In an interview with Terrace Mayor Sean Bouitosh, he confirmed that issues with that property were not new and gave more detail on the events leading up to the residents being forced out.
It's been a while, and we've been working on this, and we have to go through our own policies as well. So, letters were given to property owners, asking them to remediate the property, and no action was done. And then last week there was a final 7-day notice to remediate the property and get it cleaned up, and nothing was done. So that in turn gave us the ability to move in and disconnect services and board the house up and ask the people that were in the house to leave.
Several inspections at the property also saw the discovery of fire hazards and other life safety hazards. The property has since been secured in order to prevent unauthorized access, and the Terrace RCMP are asking anyone who notices people trying to get into the place to call them at 250-638-7400. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. The Terrace RCMP are asking for the public's help to determine the whereabouts of a wanted woman. 36-year-old Chelsea Eden Amonrath is being sought out on a pair of warrants for breach of probation and taking a vehicle without consent. She is described as a 5'8" and about 240 pounds with brown hair and eyes. Anyone who has information on where she might be located is asked to call the Terrace RCMP or BC Crime Stoppers. The Smithers in Houston RCMP are also looking for a wanted man. The police are seeking out Bobby Tyler Kwok, who was wanted for a breach of a probation order. Police also noted that this is the 4th time that Kwok has had a warrant issued for his arrest. He has been described as an Indigenous man who is about 144 pounds and 5'10", with black hair and brown eyes. If you have information on his whereabouts, you can either call the Smithers RCMP or BC Crime Stoppers. After the break, a Kitimat couple recently won the score of a lifetime. Welcome back. The federal, BC, and municipal governments are investing more than $5.4 million towards the construction of a new wastewater treatment facility in Prince Rupert. A joint statement from the government say the work being supported by the funding includes reconfiguration of lift stations and piping, as well as related electrical and mechanical work. The statement also says the new facility will be used in combination with created wetlands that provide a second level of water treatment that meets provincial and federal regulations. About $2.2 million of the funding comes from Ottawa, while the province is funding about $1.8 million. The British Columbia and federal governments have announced their support for a massive LNG export facility floating in waters off of the province's northwest, despite opposition from some First Nations and environmentalists. A BC Environmental Assessment Certificate for the Cael Maslin's LNG project that is designed to export Canadian gas to Asia was jointly approved on Monday by BC Environment Minister Tamara Davidson and BC Energy Minister Adrian Dix. Federal Environment Minister Julie Daberson also released a news release announcing her decision to greenlight the project to move to the next stage of permits and authorization. The project is being developed in partnership between the Nisga'a Nation, Rockies LNG Limited Partnership, and Western LNG, although documents show the project's assets will be constructed, owned, and operated by wholly owned subsidiaries of Western LNG based in Houston, Texas. It is a vast project designed to receive 2 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day for liquefaction, storage, and offloading to tankers. Western LNG says it's designed to export 12 million tons of LNG per year, with operations to begin in late 2028 or 2029. That is almost as much as the 14 million ton capacity of the first phase of the LNG Canada project in Kitimat, BC. The decisions by the governments come after examination by BC's Environmental Assessment Office, which says that if other permissions are received, the project off Pierce Island will employ up to 450 workers during construction and permanently employ up to 250. The Environmental Assessment Office said it consulted with 10 First Nations, several of which did not consent. It said 6 First Nations had the opportunity to provide consent, which was granted by the Gitga'at and Kitsalis, while it was denied by the Lochwilabs, Metlakatla, and Kitsum-Kaleb. The Kinsala Nation did not provide a notice on consent. In a conversation with MP for Skeena Ellis Ross, he pointed out that consensus can be difficult to achieve.
I've been doing this 20 years. I've worked on LNG projects, forestry projects, LNG projects, mining projects. Not once have I ever achieved consensus. Not once. Not within my own community, not with other Aboriginal communities, not within BC. So to say that you can only do projects without consensus without defining it, what do you mean?
Still to come is a look at the work the Heritage Park Museum is doing to modernize itself. Welcome back. The Northwest Regional Terrace Kitimat Airport has released the updated edition of their passenger numbers for 2025, and similarly to July, the month of August set a new benchmark for the highest monthly total of the year, with 25,400 people passing through the airport. That beats out the previous high set in July by just over 600 people, and once again continues the steady upward trend in passengers making some kind of stop at the local airport in 2025. A Kitimat couple scored the win of a lifetime when they learned that they won a $500,000 prize from the Lotto Max Extra Prize Draw. Karen Gordon and Mogens Reese Hansen have said that they plan on celebrating their prize by taking a few trips, namely to see family on Vancouver Island and then going on vacation to Thailand. The couple made the winning purchase at the Kildala grocery store in Kitimat and ended up discovering the good news at a self-scanner before they confirmed their win with a retailer at the store. And now we shift over to a report on how a place dedicated to preserving the past is working on making itself a bit more modern. The Heritage Park Museum stands as a living history museum that is dedicated to weaving a narrative that accurately portrays the past of the city of Terrace, and it has been around since 1983. The land on which the museum resides was once farmland before it eventually was used as the home for a military hospital during World War II. And coinciding with the museum's current curator and executive director Quinn Beblow being hired are some changes that have been made at the site in recent times.
We have now an Indigenous Nisga'a carver, Geo McKay, carving and doing his art on site. We have also added more interpretive and engaging elements to our exhibits. We now have a kiosk that takes credit card and debit at the front, and we're really trying to modernize and become a more inclusive space to Indigenous stories and other diverse stories within the area.
The museum even put together a proposal for Terrace City Council to rehabilitate the nearby Kinhut building and display artifacts from the Second World War in it, while also utilizing it as a space for their community events and programs. But Council opted to go with the plan to demolish the building instead. Beblo also explained where her ideas for modernizing the museum came from.
So since starting my position here, I really wanted to grow my education to actually be able to make those changes. So since then, I've gone through a year-long collections management certification through the University of Victoria, and I'm halfway through getting my Master's of Museum Education through UBC. So a lot of those changes have been inspired by the education I'm pursuing right now.
Most of the changes are still in the middle of being implemented, but even with that fact, more changes are in the midst of being planned right now.
I want to build our relationships with the Kitsillis and the Kids in Caelum and Kermode Friendship Society, and hopefully have more Indigenous perspectives on the themes in our museum. And I also want to have projects like expansion and creating a new entranceway and cleaning up a lot of our storage spaces. We have a new climate-controlled storage space for our artifacts, which happened in the last year as well, to kind of professionalize our collections as well.
For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. New details emerged ahead of an upcoming Conservative leadership vote, and at Chaco Lake's MLA John Rustad, the current party leader, is getting some heat. CTV's Craig Krause explains.
According to sources, around 2,100 new BC Conservative members signed up to vote in the leadership review of John Rustad in Kelowna, but the numbers in the emails of the names associated seem strange. Take a look at this. Many of the phone numbers in Kelowna are the same number for every digit, and the emails are a first and last name followed by @getcloudmail.co. One source says that 2 of the people named are no longer alive, and that the memberships were paid for by 3 credit cards. This alleged scandal sparked fireworks at a caucus meeting on Friday. Sources say Rustad was asked to leave the meeting as caucus discussed his leadership. The source says during that same meeting, Rustad advised that the list of new members has been deleted. Here's what a member of the caucus told CTV News on Monday.
Is there some troubling reports starting to emerge? Yes, there are. I haven't seen any documents or anything of that nature that are being referenced out there right now. But certainly I have some concerns in terms of, making sure that we are, as a BC Conservative caucus and as a BC Conservative caucus, always functioning at the highest level of integrity and always making sure that the public has their faith in us.
The drama doesn't stop at the new numbers. CTV News has obtained a screenshot of an email from Rustad to caucus after the meeting, apologizing for spreading a rumor and embarrassing an individual for having a relationship with someone in the Conservative office. And the leadership vote is taking place on Thursday, and we're also hearing that it's been moved to a larger venue to accommodate for the influx of legitimate members. Craig Crowe, C2 News, Vancouver.
That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review. Make sure to tune in to our regular newscasts on Monday at 5, 6, 6:30, and 11 o'clock here on CFTK-TV. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good weekend.